Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm here for yet another AC Milan news live stream. I'm here to recap the latest news and rumors currently going on at AC Milan. Now, this is the first video of 2017. I want it to be a very big year for Rossoneri TV. I want to bring you guys new content on a daily basis. I want to give you guys the opportunity to build this community on the channel even further. But let's get into today's news. There's a few topics I want to be speaking about. First of all, I want to be talking about Gabriel and Marco Storari, a potential loan swap between the two goalkeepers. After that, I will be speaking about Keita Balde, also Laxalt from Genoa, and finally Luis Adriano with Spartak Moscow. So let's get into the first swap deal here between Gabriel and Storari. So it has been mentioned today that, once again, like I talked about last week, there could be a potential swap between the two goalkeepers. This is going to be a loan swap, just so that Gabriel could get some playing time under his belt. Of course, being under Donnarumma, he hasn't been getting any chance to get minutes in his performances at Milan. Therefore, Cagliari are looking to add a goalkeeper that will be getting playing time at their club for the second half of the season. Now, this is a loan swap deal, and it appears to be that Milan want to bring back Gabriel at the end of June. There are some complications at the moment between the time of these loan deals. We're still not quite sure how long these loan deals will possibly be, but given the fact that Storari is turning 40 next week, I'm expecting it to be just until June. Now, Storari already has a past at Milan. You guys probably recall back in the days, Storari was a keeper at Milan, and honestly, this deal will probably happen. Certain reports were already mentioning that Storari was in Milan to discuss with the representatives of a potential loan move to Milan, but it appears to be that it won't happen just yet, and Milan and Cagliari are both waiting until their game gets played on Sunday before making any further discussions regarding this loan swap. Now, I'm going to give you my take on this potential deal between Milan and Cagliari. Personally, I do know that Storari is going to be Donnarumma's backup. He won't be getting much playing time at Milan. If he will be getting playing time, it's only going to be for the Coppa Italia, and that's a big if. But to me, I don't think this is really an important move for Milan. I could definitely argue for Gabriel. I think he definitely deserves playing time, and that is why a move to a team that he's going to get playing time seems the most ideal option for him. So I do understand a move to Cagliari for Gabriel, but on the other hand, Storari is definitely not a keeper that we need. Yes, there are talks of him bringing experience to the youth. Donnarumma and Plizzari, the two goalkeepers that we have at Milan, are very young and could receive some guidance. But personally, I don't think Storari is the goalkeeper that could give much guidance and experience to Donnarumma especially. And I was arguing on Twitter, at the same time, we might as well have kept Abbiati, a guy that is a legend at Milan, that has done so much for the team and was helping Donnarumma, especially at the end of last season when he was giving him much help on a daily basis, just to improve his game. And I think that was a better option for Milan and Donnarumma, to have a guy like Abbiati, a club legend, remain at the club, even as a counselor maybe for Donnarumma. But, Milan didn't offer that option. Abbiati wasn't happy whatsoever with the team last season. You might even recall at certain moments he was actually giving some stick to the team. He didn't like how the team was performing. And, at the end of the season, he left for that particular reason, because he didn't see Milan as it was back in the days. In his eyes, he wanted to leave Milan. But this is all a story that is over and done with at the moment. Storari might be the guy that could bring in this guidance to the Milan keepers. He might not be the guy that could bring the guidance to the Milan keepers. But point being is, Gabriel needs some playing time. I understand that completely. and a loan option to another club seems like the most ideal thing. At the same time, Storari won't be getting playing time, so I guess this is the best thing Milan could do for Gabriel. I don't see a big positive coming in for Milan's perspective, but we'll see what happens. Moving on to next week. Once again, discussions should be resuming between these two players and the clubs after their game on Sunday. Now, the next player I did want to speak about is Keita Balde, the Lazio player. A lot of discussion has been based on this player in recent days. As a matter of fact, I spoke about him last week or 2 weeks ago when I said that the new sporting director at Milan, Mirabelli, was observing different players, players from Lazio, Fiorentina. He's looking at potential stars that could arrive at Milan already in the next summer window. And one of these names, of course, was Keita Balde. Now, reports came out today saying that it was already a done deal for Keita Balde to arrive to Milan in the summer. Obviously, it is not a possibility this winter since we don't have the appropriate transfer funds to bring him to Milan. But reports were already mentioning of this done deal between Milan and Keita Balde, Mirabelli, the sporting director, and the player's agent. There was already a done deal in all these regards. And Milan was actually proposing, according to certain reports, a loan plus obligation to buy for 20 million euros in the summer if he reaches at least 14 appearances. Now, this obviously seems very good. He's definitely a player that I will welcome with open hands at Milan. His statistics speak for themselves. This season so far, he scored 5 goals and 3 assists in 16 appearances for Lazio in the Serie A. And he's been a player that I've been following for quite a long time now. I've been looking at him in recent years with Lazio. You know, he's definitely a very good player, very fast. He's capable of doing very good things with the ball. And obviously, like I said, he's a player that I would welcome with open hands at Milan. But despite this interest that's currently ahead there for Milan in the players' confrontations with the agent and so forth, there just seems to be no deal whatsoever. As a matter of fact, the agent came out on Twitter not long ago and mentioned that he denies any sort of agreement at this moment between him and Milan for the player. So unfortunately, there's nothing concrete at the moment currently going on between the player's agent, the player, and Milan. There could be a possibility of him arriving at Milan next summer. Of course, like I said several times, Keita is a brilliant player. He's a player that I would definitely welcome at Milan. And it appears to be that he won't be extending his contract with Lazio. So that could be another motive as to why Lazio should be able to sell him. But at the moment, there are no negotiations currently going on with the clubs. Keita Balde is definitely a player, however, that interests Milan to bring him in the summer, along with other players, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, De Vrij, Bernardeschi. These are players that Milan are currently looking at to add to their roster in the summer mercato, but not in the winter just yet. Now, next up, I want to speak about Diego Laxalt. The player is currently playing for Genoa, and honestly speaking, which transfer window wouldn't hold a deal between Milan and Genoa? It just wouldn't be a transfer window. Let's be honest with ourselves now. So the latest reports about Diego Laxalt is that Milan could potentially offer Vangioni and Rodrigo Eli for the player. So, you know, Rodrigo Eli and Vangioni haven't been getting any playing time at all this season for Milan. As a matter of fact, you know, I remember Vangioni and his agent were saying that Milan, even their fans, will fall in love with such a player like Vangioni, but he was never given an opportunity to showcase his talent or anything that he's got. So much like Gabriel in net for Milan, Vangioni and Rodrigo Eli simply haven't been given the chance to showcase what they've got this season, and there could be an exchange for Diego Laxalt. Now, I'm not sure if this is a loan deal or not. This is just simply a rumor that was created from Gazzetta dello Sport, and in my my opinion, you know, it's pretty reliable because there's always some sort of transaction, some sort of movement between these two teams when it comes to transfer windows. But Diego Laxalt, you know, once again, a pretty interesting player himself. Now, Genoa just got him back in the summer. They actually bought him from Inter for 8.5 million euros, and he's been doing quite well. Once again, an interesting player for Milan to add. I'm not quite sure if he's a player for the future at Milan, and what I mean by that, I'm not sure if he's a player that he's not gonna win Milan championships and so forth, but I think he could definitely be a player to add to the bench for depth reasons once we do build our dream team in the future. So once again, I don't see him as a player that could definitely change Milan from night to day in a game, but he's definitely a player with hard work ethic, a player that gives it his all when he plays for Genoa. He's an interesting player. I really like him, but once again, I'm not quite sure how this deal will go about, but there are some added interest from Milan for this player. So we'll see what happens, what develops really in the next coming weeks. But at the moment, this possibility of a deal between Milan and Genoa, Rodrigo Lili and Vangioni going one way, Laxalt going the other way. Finally, the other player I wanted to speak about is Luis Adriano. Like I've stated many times during the course of last week, it seems to be that Luis Adriano will become a new Spartak Moscow player. As a matter of fact, the contracts have already been signed between the two clubs. He will become a new player. What remains is him to undergo the medicals at his new club, and this should be taking place during next week. Reports are saying between the 10th and 11th of January. Initially, it was supposed to be scheduled throughout these next few days, but it seems to be that this medical will be delayed. However, Luis Adriano did not take part in Milan's training session today, and he's not going to be taking part in any of Milan's training sessions until his medical. So pretty much, he's not part of the team anymore. All he's waiting for is that medical to join his new team, Spartak Moscow. There's also another mention regarding one player that will be returning finally with the group, and I wanted to speak about this just a little bit. I'm talking about Calabria, a player that has been injured for a really long time now, and you know, the doctors really didn't know about his return, but he will be returning to Milan. Finally, he will be joining the group for the training, and he will be available for the next fixtures that Milan will have, especially against Cagliari, if not next week against Torino. So definitely a big addition once again to the group. A player that I really value highly, can give competition to the fullbacks at Milan. So I'm very happy to see that Calabria could once again return to play. Now guys, as usual, leave your comments, your thoughts about today's transfer news and rumors in the comments section. I'll be reading them for the next few minutes, so make sure to do that. First of all, Giuliano Lapadula says he is better than Eli and Vangioni. Both are not playing, and maybe Laxalt could be playing well. Now, Clayton Adja says Belotti could be our surprise transfer in the summer, and like you guys always mention about Belotti, yes, he could be an option in the summer like many other players could. I think we just have to wait and see. You know, there's still many months ahead before the summer even starts, so I wouldn't particularly focus on the players that we could get in the summer just yet. But I just want to phrase this, that we are obviously looking at many big talents currently playing in the Serie A. Like I said before, Keita Balde, Bernardeschi, De Vrij, even Belotti could be an option. Who's it gonna be? I simply don't know. Like anyone else, currently they don't know who's it gonna be. Who's gonna come to Milan next summer? But we will and we should be getting some big players. Now, Vig HD says, I don't get what Donnarumma can learn from Storari when he's already a better player. You can see experience, but he wasn't that good in his prime. Well, that's exactly my point, you know. I just don't see the purpose of possibly bringing in Storari at Milan. Yes, he's an experienced goalkeeper. He has played for God knows how many teams in his career. But at the same time, why couldn't we just keep Abbiati? Yes, Abbiati wanted to leave for personal reasons. He didn't like the state of the club anymore. But I just, I don't think Donnarumma really needs advice from Storari in the first place. This is more of a deal to give Gabriel playing time. Milan need to fill a void there in the roster for the goalkeepers if Gabriel leaves. And I guess the only option really at the moment is to bring in Storari, to bring in that experience. But really, he's not going to be playing. He's just going to be sitting on the bench. And at the same time, it's like, what, the goalkeeper coach is not giving Donnarumma enough advice that Storari needs to come in to add to that advice. Like, it really doesn't make sense to me. But like I said before, this is more to fill in a void when Gabriel leaves on loan to Cagliari than anything else. Blake Production says, Gio, who do you prefer, Keita or Deulofeu? I haven't really seen much of Deulofeu. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Besides the highlights and stuff that I've been watching on YouTube in the past few days, I really haven't watched him in live action. But if I would have to choose between the two players based on what I saw, I would probably choose Keita Balde. I've been following the player for a few years now at Lazio, and he's definitely an interesting player that I would welcome. He also has that Serie A experience that to me just gives him bonus points when looking at a potential transfer. And he's fast. I know he's capable of doing well. So we'll see about him possibly arriving. But this will happen in the summer, not in the winter. BiaXO11, off topic. Are you going to make any changes on channel in 2017? New types of videos? Well, I'm always open to suggestions for videos, but yes, we already brought some new changes to the channel already in December. Like you can note here, with daily live streams, we're moving towards live videos more than anything else. So these are already a few changes that we did make to our channel in late 2016. But obviously, we are always open to new suggestions for you guys in terms of new videos. So if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. Jamie says, why don't we get Abbiati as a goalkeeper coach? Once again, like I said, definitely a player that has experience and is a legend at the club. Why couldn't we just get him? Rami says the transfer market with Milan under Galliani, and unfortunately no money. It's just shit. Nothing will happen, and we are going to be surprised with bad players in the end. Like I said, I have no expectations whatsoever for this winter mercato. Unfortunately, we are doing pretty well in the league. It would have been nice to add some additions to the team. Players that could be able to help other players when they were either tired or they weren't playing well. But unfortunately, it seems to be that we won't be getting any high caliber players in this transfer window, which is a shame, especially considering the fact if we don't make it to the Champions League this season, or Europe in general, will be a shame because we actually did very, very well in the first half. And to throw the second half away just because of players reaching their fatigue levels, or just being tired in general, it will really be a shame to not being able to reach our objectives just because we don't have those players that could add to the depth of the squad. Sick Ghost XP says, will Odumadi stay or go out on loan again? Good question. I'm not quite sure. For those of you that haven't heard, Odumadi has returned from his loan spell at Helsinki, and he's training with Milan. I'm not quite sure if he's gonna go out on loan again. But I do believe that if he does stay, he won't be getting much playing time like you could expect. But, he might leave on loan again. That could be an option. Clayton says, Gio Zaza is ready to come back to Italy. Could he be asked to join us? He will not get a lot of playing time in Juve. If Zaza comes, I'm not quite sure if Milan will really be happy about this move. Not quite sure if the Chinese will welcome him anyways. Personally, I don't think he's a striker that we do need. I think we need something better than Zaza at the moment. Even for next season, I don't think Zaza is the type of striker that I could definitely say he's going to do amazing at Milan. We definitely need better. And personally, at the moment, I don't see Zaza being a possibility for Milan. Moving on, RC205 says, I know this question is off topic, but what do you think of Bertolacci returning from injury? Nobody talked about him after his return. As a matter of fact, I actually did speak a lot about him in the channel after his return, specifically for the performances he made against Roma, Atalanta, and Juventus. So yes, I did speak a lot about him. I did say that, he's a player that Montella is trying to revive at Milan. He's trying to develop him back into the player that he used to be back when he used to be at Genoa. But Bertolacci is a player that hasn't been showing much. He's been doing better after his injury, but I still wouldn't bank any money on him at the moment. What I mean by that is that if we do get a better replacement than Bertolacci, then I don't think he's going to be getting much playing time at all. Montella is working very hard to revive him, like he has done with many players, like he has been influencing players all over the team, really, with Bacca, Niang. He wants to revive those players as well now, to bring them back to their scoring ways for the second half of the season. He's working really hard with Bertolacci. Will he be able to revive him? I guess this is a matter of time. And we'll see what really happens. But to me, right now, it's not like Bertolacci has shown after his injury. So we'll see what happens with him. But, Montella is definitely trying to bring him back to his old playing ways. Moving on, Rami says, Luis Adriano's medical is on the 10th of January. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back. Like I said, yes, his medical is scheduled for next week. And personally, I think that this time is the right time for Luis Adriano to leave. Last transfer window, of course, actually last winter, he was close to signing for China, but after that, he was actually sent to China, then he had to fly back, which to me seems a bit ridiculous there, but at the same time, it's just something that I think will happen this time around. And many times there were talks about him leaving on a potential free transfer. It might happen that Milan could get 1 million out of this. Not much of a difference, to be honest with you, but at least we're getting something out of it. Annika says, if we send Eli out, we may get a defender short. What do you think? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. But I don't think we're going to get another defender this transfer window, to be honest with you. Rodrigo Eli hasn't been getting much playing time anyway, so I don't think we definitely need someone to replace him, especially considering the fact that he won't be playing as well. I don't see the point of getting rid of one guy that's not being playing a lot and bringing in another guy that's not going to get playing time anyways. Rhett Butler says, Gio, which players do you think are going to leave in January? There's quite a list that I think will potentially leave this winter mercato. Obviously, there's Luis Adriano, Vangioni, Gabriel, Rodrigo Eli, all on the top of the list there for to leave this winter. Also, there's a possibility of Honda possibly leaving. Maybe Niang, that's lower on the list of him potentially leaving. But if you want me to tell you the main names that could potentially leave, it's definitely Gabriel, Rodrigo Eli, Vangioni, and Luis Adriano. Who are your dream signings this mercato? I have no dream signings whatsoever this mercato because I know we won't be able to make any dream signings. We have no funds for this winter mercato, so really it's not gonna happen. There are no dream signings this mercato, but next summer I definitely have a few dream signings. Belotti, Keita, Bernardeschi, definitely all top my list. And I'm happy that we are interested in such players. I think they could definitely bring a lot to the table if they do join us. Big HD says, if we sell Bacca, who would be a realistic top striker that we can get? Bacca is 30 and won't be staying too long. Max 2 seasons. Like I said, I don't think that Bacca will be leaving this transfer window, but if he does leave next summer, Milan definitely have to look at realistic options. Options that are gonna be good for Milan for the long run. So someone that's not too old, young, but experienced in the Serie A as well, and could score a lot of goals, and definitely a profile that fits those criteria is Belotti. Jamie Muscat says, Gio, you could do highlights videos on any players we sign. Unfortunately, I will not be posting any footage of players. I know there are a lot of channels that already do that. And if you guys want to check out a channel that does a lot of that on highlights and stuff, check out Blake Productions. My channel is not based on any highlights. Unfortunately, I'm not willing to risk anything in terms of copyright from the Serie A and other leagues. There are a lot of channels that already do that, and unfortunately they get a lot of strikes on their account, which disable many features on their channels. And one of these features is actually live streaming. I don't want to get rid of that, as I definitely use that a lot. And there's also other features. If you guys are on YouTube, if you guys create videos on YouTube, you would be more aware of these potential threats to the channel. So unfortunately, I won't be making that, but there are also other channels, like I said, that do that and don't really worry about these problems. So if you guys want to check it out, Blake Productions, my good friend, makes very good videos on players that could potentially join Milan and so forth, so check him out. Giuliano Lapadula says, Onda hasn't done well the last season. Milan should sell him, but I heard that he isn't on the market. Originally, he was supposed to be on the market. There's interest from MLS teams at the moment, such as LA Galaxy and Seattle Sounders. But I do believe that there is a possibility they could still leave, despite the fact that he isn't on the market on quotations. I think that MLS, their transfer window actually starts in February. So until then, there's a possibility of offloading Honda to one of those teams. But we'll see what happens there. Are we linked with any strikers in this Mercato? Not really. Moving on, RC205 says, Gio, what do you think about Simeone? I heard some reports about him for next summer. I spoke about Simeone actually last week, because these are not really new reports considering the player from Genoa, but I did speak a bit about him last week. He's a very good player for Genoa. He's doing very well for them at the moment, but at the same time, you know, Genoa just signed him this past summer. I'm not quite sure if they're willing on giving him away just yet. Like I said, he's been doing very well for them, scoring lots of goals, providing assists as well. He's been getting playing time. Everything seems to go pretty good with him and the club at the moment. So I'm not quite sure if Genoa is considering selling him at the moment. Moving on, Frosty says, can you link the channel that make Milan player and target videos? Sure, I could just type it right now on the chat right there. Tony the Milanese says, Gio, do you think Rodrigo Caio can come? Rodrigo Caio is a player that we were interested in back in the summer, but at the moment, you know, he's not being reported to a move to Milan, specifically for this winter transfer window. I do believe that we can get another defender, but once again, I don't think we'll be getting that this winter transfer window. Maybe something that we could look forward to in the summer. Like I said endless times, for those of you that have been watching my videos on a daily basis here on the channel, I've said that this winter transfer window will prioritize contract renewals for Milan, such as Bonaventura, Suso, maybe Donnarumma, Paletta is also there, Romagnoli. All these players Milan is looking to, you know, follow and extend their contracts now. But at the same time, Milan might be getting some other players on loan for this winter transfer window, but don't expect any major signings to be made. Like I said, we don't have the appropriate funds for that. Esborn says, Gio, we need the club to hold contests for us fans. Milan's a big club just like other clubs, so in order to have a great relationship with the fans and one thing, the club needs to interact with the fans too. Yeah, I mean, I'm not associated with AC Milan at any point. I'm not working with AC Milan. I'm not working for them. What I do is provide my personal insights on players and matches on my own terms. I have nothing to do with AC Milan. So Dan Maldini says, does Donnarumma need a rival to make him better? And is that Gabriel? I think so. Doesn't need a rival to make him better. I mean, he's good as he is. He doesn't. I don't think he needs that extra motivation to do well. I mean, if there was another top keeper at Milan that they had to fight for their spot in order to start, then I would consider him having a rival. But if he stole the spot from Diego Lopez last year, and he was able to do that, I don't think that he needs extra motivation with having a rival or a player to fight for competition with. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you all for joining me, guys. Once again, Happy New Year. I hope this is gonna be a big year for our channel. Always looking to provide new content to you guys and more videos on a daily basis. So once again, thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything going on at AC Milan on a daily basis, as I'm looking to expand our Milan community. We are close to 11,000 subscribers, so if you haven't yet, please click on that subscribe button. Also, hit on the like button if you enjoyed this video. I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow for another AC Milan news live stream. This has been Gio, signing off, and as always, Forza Milan!